So, Adam, I couldn't help but notice you're drinking a Monster there, buddy.
Leave me alone.
What?
Had a hard time getting up this morning. All right.
I was just curious. We had discussed that you had given those up, so I was.
I did briefly.
I did. I quit for a minute. I had to do the same thing years ago. I was drinking a lot of energy drinks I worked nights and just kind of a weird schedule. Got off that schedule, but my caffeine habit didn't change, and started having nasty heart palpitations. And I'd go to stand up and it felt like somebody literally hit me in the chest with like a rubber sledgehammer. And I went to a doctor, and they couldn't find anything wrong. Said I had a little bit of a heart murmur, but other than that, I was fine. And the guy says, we got to talking about my schedule, and he says, "How much caffeine do you drink, Mr. Adams?" 5, not that much. Comparative to a fucking meth addict, not that much. And he's like, "Okay, well, run me through a typical caffeine day." And he pulls out his phone and he's like adding up the milligrams, and he's like, "Yeah, you're at 1.3 grams of caffeine a day. You are you're in a very strange percentile. And if you don't fix that, you're going to die." And I was like, all right. And having your heart skip a beat, because he said basically what he thought was happening after we talked about that was that the caffeine screws with your brain's ability to talk to the heart, and it would fill, but then it wouldn't squeeze the blood out. So it would fill, and then it would fill again, and then panic and go, "Oh shit, I have too much blood in here. We better push real fucking hard to get this blood out." And I was like, that doesn't sound like that's how that's supposed to work, doc. And he's like, "No, it's not." So I cut way back, and for me, I get the caffeine headaches. I don't know about you guys, but if I don't drink caffeine, I go through horrible withdrawal headaches. So now I do drink my 2 Red Bulls a day. I do the sugar-free 8-ounce Red Bulls, and I am, today's number 3. But
I don't drink a lot of them. It's 11 a.m. and this is my 3rd one, but I don't drink a lot.
Comparatively, I was drinking those Monsters like you're drinking the big cans. And have you ever had one of the big, it's got like the screw off top?
Oh yeah,
yes.
Yeah. That's what I usually get.
We did I do like 2 of those a day. Easy.
Yeah.
So the idea of drinking that much caffeine now kind of grosses me out, but, full sugar.
They also have the BFC.
The big fucking can.
Yeah, it's that's actually what it says on the can, BFC. And it's like this. It's like the most ridiculous can you could think of. Like a big double deuce.
And they say, it's for you to drink all day. No, I'm going to slam this.
I'm going to chug this.
And then I'm going to move on with my fucking day. Caffeine's a funny one, man. It's probably the most widely used, substance on the face of the fucking planet. Remember years ago, there was a big push to like ban energy drinks and all that. And there was a kid, he was out of Canton or Akron, Ohio, near where I'm from. And somehow he had gotten a hold of caffeine, like raw caffeine powder.
Yeah.
And just blew his fucking heart apart with it. You almost can't even imbibe a small enough amount of raw caffeine powder and it be safe. Like, I forget what it's like micrograms or something like that. You just have to look at it and be like, that's enough. And so of course that turned into, caffeine's dangerous. And oh yeah, it is. So is alcohol. So is smoking. So is a lot of fucking things. But
yeah,
so is water. I mean,
right.
If I go lay in the bathtub and arrange it to where I can't poke my head out of the water, it's fatal.
So what are you doing, Doug? I'm proving a point, Dan. You're drowning, Doug. Right, exactly. I'm proving a point, motherfucker.
But I'm gonna die right.
But I'm gonna die, and I'm gonna be right. Speaking of being right and proving points, AT&T in Nashville had a little bit of an issue with apparently somebody wanting to be right about something. There was the guy, I can't think of his name, don't really care, blew up a fucking RV.
Let's just call him Fuckface McGillicuddy.
I like that. I like
That's
that.
good.
I
That's good.
am in the camp of not making these assholes famous by saying their name.
Yep.
So I like the idea of Fuckface McGillicuddy. So Fuckface McGillicuddy, here's the interesting part. I don't really know why he did it. I don't know what the fucking point was, because the media was like, and in other news, it just fucking disappeared, dude. And the three of us have talked about it, and I think this is a general consensus. I don't feel like we're, three wise men here that came up with this idea. But if this dude had been fucking brown or had a name like, Ahmed, Ali, whatever, they'd still be talking about this. They'd be talking about his fucking grade school friends and just everything.
Well, then he would have been a terrorist.
Right.
Yeah, it would have been automatically labeled a terrorist, and that's you would not. It's like I saw this morning where there was a bunch of Muslim groups that were up in arms because they're not calling this guy a terrorist. They've talked to his friends, family, to try to figure out some sort of ideological motivation why he was doing this. They're looking at fucking 5G conspiracies. They're looking at the whole nine. Turns out that the guy's girlfriend last year told the police, hey, he's getting kind of crazy, and he's talking about building a bomb in his RV, and it got dismissed out of hand. Now, I'm 46 years old at this point. This is the most clear-cut example of white privilege that I've ever seen in my life. Now, when I was younger, I used to hear the phrase white privilege thrown around, and due to my limited life experience at the time, I didn't really know what the hell they were talking about. In my mind, privilege was the shit that you had seen in the movies where, like, some dude walks through the door, everybody's automatically kissing his ass. Here's your champagne, blah, 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 blah. Because you had, Mr. Super Important walk through there. Almost like you could go up to a car dealership and say, yeah, I'll take the red one. And what's your financing? And you would just like point to your skin and they would go, oh yeah, you're good. Because I had never seen that before, but so it took me a while to learn that, kind of white privilege was me not getting hassled whereas other groups would. So
and the term has been watered down like the word racist. People throw the word racist around. Oh, he's a racist. No, he's a prejudiced fuckhead. But racism is about thinking that your race is superior or another race is inferior. And that's not typically what I see. What I see is a lot of prejudice. And white privilege is another term that gets thrown around a lot. And I don't think that it applies. White privilege does exist. It is a fact. And I would have to completely agree with you that this is a perfect example of white privilege, and probably not one that most people are calling out as white privilege. But the fact that he is white is why nobody is immediately labeling him a fucking terrorist. What was Timothy McVeigh? I'd have to look up to see if they considered what he did an act of terrorism, right? But
yeah,
it typically, again,
they were going after that one at a different angle from it to begin with, because Timothy McVeigh, wasn't he the one that blew up the federal building in Oklahoma?
Yeah.
So, literally in that case, because of the target, they were going that way out of the gate.
Fair enough. And again, so you start to confirmation bias, cognitive bias, a prejudice that because it was against a federal building, somehow it was still a terrorist attack, even though he was white. But you go after a telecom company, or any company for that matter. Again, I just can't, I find it hard to believe that if this dude was brown, that we wouldn't be throwing the T word around like fucking crazy. But again, it's a matter of marketing, and um, we don't have domestic terrorism in the United States, right? Because that would put us on par and on level with other countries that do. But the fact is, folks, we do, and this is a clear cut fucking example of it.
Yeah, not saying that we do doesn't mean suddenly we don't. It's like if we
Right.
just don't say it, it'll go away.
But then you look at especially like the conservative group, the alt right. They do believe that. They do somehow live in this bubble where, oh, we don't have domestic terrorism. That's for other countries to deal with. Other countries that aren't, white Anglo-Saxon, Protestant, Christian,
Even though you
fucking
can go
whatever.
back through history and find examples of it all over the place.
over
I
and
think-
over and over. Yeah.
Like the bombing at the Olympics in 1996 at Atlanta.
Mhm.
That was clearly designed to be a terrorist attack.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter who the person who pulls the trigger or presses the button does not determine really whether it's a terrorist attack. They do because it's about what they were trying to achieve. So I guess that's my point, is that it's not a matter of their skin color, where they're from. What was the point? What were they trying to do? If they were trying to bring attention to something through violence or create an uncomfortable situation, it's terrorism, right? Or radicalism, I guess it could be another term. But
Well, with fuckface McGillicuddy, whatever he was trying to accomplish, he didn't do it really well, because
No.
they're still trying to figure out what the fuck was going on with this guy.
Mhm.
And it's
What
like,
was your message?
Yeah,
yeah, and it's
Mhm.
weird, the song that he was playing before it blew up. That old song from the 60s, Chick Sings It Downtown? That's what his speakers were blaring before it went off. And it's like, this is the most confused, if this was supposed to be some sort of political statement, old fuckface McGillicuddy is the epic fail of the terrorist world. That's all
no
I'm saying.
shit. I
He used to be
mean,
on America's Funniest Home Videos from how bad he failed.
fail blog. Yeah, I mean, and I guess maybe that's part of the argument, is at this point you could say, well, we don't really know what he was trying to do. Well, again, he took a vehicle, he parked it in front of a fucking building in a metro area, and pressed the button. He was trying to make a point. Maybe we don't know what it is yet, but to me, I feel like he was trying to make a point. So I'd say it would be interesting to see what happens, but as people have pointed out, there's like almost no news coverage of this.
Well, they
Like,
won't. They won't label him a terrorist because white people want to be able to fly without getting harassed in the security line.
Fair enough.
They don't want to be. They're fine with profiling other people, but white people just want to be ridiculously comfortable. So they're never going to say a white guy was a terrorist.
I would probably have to agree with that. I have flown with a guy from Pakistan. Well, his family's from Pakistan. He was born here, as far as I know. And we were going through airport security. Actually, Doug was there, and we were going through airport security, and he got randomly selected.
Totally, definitely random.
And of course, me and Doug and the other guy that were there were three white guys. I'm from the Midwest. Both the other white guys are from the fucking South with thick Southern draws. And we're just having a blast. Hey, look, you got randomly selected. And he's like, guys, stop. Because we think it's fucking hilarious because we're assholes. And he's thinking, I'm going to get fucking anally searched here if you guys keep it up. But, kind of the point, the three white guys that were there, our point was kind of to bring some attention to it. This guy, he's clearly Middle Eastern descent, right? You can see it on him. And that was the whole fucking point. This kid's as American as anybody else. And
Yeah,
to
I think
have
he was
him.
born in New Jersey or something.
Yeah, exactly. And he is a Muslim, and but he doesn't have a sign on him or a tattoo that says Muslim. But again, he's obviously from a Middle Eastern family and of origin. And for us, it was just like I said, we were being assholes. Yeah, you got randomly selected.
Look how random this was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, but the from the outside, it was he might as well have had a tattoo across his forehead that had "Die Whitey" on the front of it or something.
Yeah, it was kind of ridiculous. And TSA, I don't know. I understand the point of it. Like
I
um, most government programs, it's
Okay,
very
Adam,
expensive and very poorly
TSA's never
implemented.
once caught a terrorist ever, so I don't see the point.
yeah. Well, at the same time, Adam, you could take your argument and you could make it about anything that's preventative, whether it's masks, condoms,
Yeah,
what
but you
have
can
you.
prove the efficacy of condoms. They've never caught a terrorist at the TSA line ever. Literally ever.
Well, because the TSA frightens them so much, they don't
Oh,
even fucking
yes.
try.
They're like, we had this bomb that we were going to put in a 10-ounce tube of toothpaste, but they limit me to 3.8 ounces. Gosh darn it. I guess we're not blowing it up today.
Well, the point of that is that there are very few explosive compounds out there that at that small of an amount could create the kind of damage that you need to bring down a plane.
Yeah,
I mean, I do understand I understand it. I think that, I went through one time and forgot to take my wallet out of my pocket. And I got out of the little x-ray machine and I've got like 8 guys on top of me. And I was like, oh shit, I'm sorry. And I reached back to take my wallet out and I swear to God, one of them was going for his gun.
Well, it's
And I'm
because
like,
they're all 12 and it's the first position of authority they've ever had in their life.
That's the problem that I have with it is it just like with police, there's a very low bar for becoming a TSA agent. And I feel like that's another one where I'd personally like to see maybe an associate's in criminology or an associate's in forensics
Or maybe some overseas experience. Like I look
Yeah.
around at TSA and I'm like, I could probably take all these guys. And I'm a fat kid.
But
Yeah.
let's back that train up. You say associates, you can say associates, bachelor's, doctorate. I have met several people who are highly educated who are some of the dumbest motherfuckers I've ever met in my life because
Yeah, but
they're
that's
really
the
smart in
exception.
one thing.
Yeah, but that's the exception to the rule. I mean, I'm not I don't have a degree. I don't even have a high school diploma. So I don't necessarily believe that degrees make you smarter or more qualified. But I do think that the majority of people who get an education do tend to be a little more reasonable. They tend to be a little more intellectual because you go to this institution, you take the time and the energy to learn something. I do think they have value, right? Maybe I shouldn't say degree, maybe some sort of better certification program, because I'm like with Adam, you see these guys rolling through they're either like 19 years old and you can tell that they've used the word actually unironically at some point, or it's some old fat guy who just you can tell hates anybody who has skin darker than him. I feel like again positions of authority like that should go to people who can handle it. I like Adam's comment. I'm police, TSA, anything where there's that kind of stress involved there should be an attempt to get more ex-military that have been in combat. Because again, if you've got a guy that was at an airport in fucking Baghdad doing that kind of work, I feel like being in Atlanta would be a piece of cake for this guy. Like, hey, calm down.
Well, I mean, the way that I feel about the whole thing would be I'm more into what society has lost is the ability to think critically. I don't think
I'm not sure they ever had it, but
yeah.
I feel where you're saying.
Yeah, I mean it's George Carlin was famous for saying the reason that they don't teach critical thinking in schools is because the last thing any government wants is an educated population that has the ability to think critically and separate facts from feelings and the whole nine, because it's like that's what has gotten us to the mess that we're in now.
Oh, absolutely.
We started to, it's something that's been going on for quite a while. But as far as really bubbling up to mainstream and being part of the popular culture, I think cancel culture was probably in most recent memory out of the gate first. And then after cancel culture got its legs, now we're in the we're in the denying all facts era of Trump, where he's basically saying there's election fraud with no examples, and there's large swaths of the population that are swallowing it hook, line, and sinker.
Oh, they're swallowing it all right.
Oh, yeah.
I saw something on Reddit that I found kind of amusing that ties into both of these subjects. The guy says, within 48 hours, they knew who this guy was, that the AT&T building, they had, found his home. They started interviewing people. But in the last however many weeks, they have found that same group, the FBI, have found no examples of voter fraud. They found no examples of any of that. And yet people still don't want to listen. That group doesn't want to listen. There's they're talking about, I sent you guys that article about the vaccines. Everybody's, it's 2021, great, wonderful.
It's all over now.
Yeah, guys, 2021 is going to blow goats just like 2020 did.
No, listen. So we drew this invisible line in the sand between December and January, and when we pass that line, things change.
I wish that you could see his cheeks when he's about to pull some bullshit like this, because I don't understand how he doesn't pull a face muscle. Because he starts grinning. Adam is the worst liar on the planet. He's the worst at setting up any kind of bullshit, because all you got to do is look at him and it's coming, but you still wait for it because it's usually fucking funny. Yeah, I 2021 is going to be full of masks and lockdowns. We're so far behind in vaccine distribution. Pfizer is sitting there going, guys, where do we send this shit? I mean, typically you would expect manufacturing to be the bottleneck here, and it's not. It's distribution, and there's no reason for it. And you've got Trump saying, I don't know, that's up to the states. The states should figure that out. Really? Then what in the fuck is the point of the federal government?
That's right? What he's been doing all along, and that's why his handling of the coronavirus got lambasted, because as opposed to providing leadership and guidance, it's really weird. Well, I shouldn't say it's really weird, but it's funny to me about how that any political side will change their argument based on the facts that are in front of them at the time, because different states held their elections, and the way the elections are held are up to the states individually. So in that particular case where shit didn't go their way, you had other states bring cases to
against them,
the Supreme Court,
yeah,
saying that, hey, these guys aren't following the rules.
Yeah.
But when it comes to coronavirus and how this is done, it's, oh no, we're states' rights. So it depends on the argument that's in front of them, what side that they're picking at that particular point in time. And that is definitely not fucking exclusive to any one political party.
No, and that's again, it comes back to what we were talking about, facts versus feelings. My feeling is I lost. I'm angry about it. I want, no, 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 not fair, not fair, wah, wah, wah. Whereas in fact state that there was no voter fraud. I actually saw an article where they did find some voter fraud. They found a guy, I think it was in Georgia, who had voted for his dead mother and a
Pennsylvania.
Was it Pennsylvania? There were several of his dead relatives voted for Trump. And it was like, well, isn't that amusing that of all the
I giggled.
Voter fraud, the only one that was proven was, pro-Trump. Look, I'm sure there was plenty of voter fraud on both sides, right?
I'm sure that there's not.
But I think there's an amount, right? I'm not going to say that there's zero voter fraud, but I believe that there was even close to enough on either side to sway anything, not even fucking remotely close. No.
The general thing is there's always going to be some.
Right. A very small percentage,
but that number never gets it's like this last election, I think we had somewhere around 155 million people vote.
Yeah.
Now, the voter fraud that will be shaken out of all this, if they dig really hard into it, they'll get about 100 examples,
right?
Plus or minus.
That's what I was going to say. Right, about 100 people, which simply does not sway a fucking election, folks.
No. The thing is, right now, all of us live in Colorado. I don't think I'm really giving anything away there. We've talked about that on several occasions.
Doxed.
And
straight doxed.
Colorado has by far, of any state that I've lived in so far, made it the easiest to vote. Like a month before the election or any sort of election, you get your ballot. If there's any ballot initiatives, you get a little booklet that explains what these initiatives are. And while you can't do in-person voting on the day of, just about everybody in Colorado, they'll have a drop box at your local library or DMV office or city hall, and then all you do is you just walk up to it, you stick that envelope in. They've got ballot tracking to where you can track if your ballot's been received, if your ballot had any issues with it, and if it was counted. So they've made it so ridiculously easy here, but in a lot of other states, especially states that are only in-person voting the day of, with the exception of special absentee ballots, there are so many fucking hoops to jump through that your average schmuck who would actually like to vote twice, it's sort of a high bar to begin with. So you have lower voter participation, and because you have lower voter participation, you're also going to have lower voter fraud because there's so many fucking hoops to jump through.
Well, I was very happy with the way Colorado handled it. I thought it was fair. I don't, some of the other states, the way they ran things seemed a little odd to me, but whatever. And it'd be curious to see if he did win, how they would argue how the ballot boxes were all safe. And, it's, I just love how people, and like you said, we do it with a lot of things. It's not just voting. I try real hard. For Christmas, I bought myself a subscription to Masterclass. Sure, all of you have seen it on, various being marketed to you. And there's this one from Neil deGrasse Tyson, and it's on basically like critical thinking, right? How to think. And I'm not a huge Tyson fan in general, but these videos have actually been pretty cool. And it validated for me that I have always been a critical thinker. And Not that I need someone else to validate that for me, but it is nice when you've got someone who is considered an expert on the field talking and you go, oh, well, yeah, I do that. Okay, well, cool. To me, critical thinking is very important because emotion and feelings and fact, right? Emotions and actual data are two very different things. And if we relied only on emotion, our monkey brains, oof, I just can't imagine where we'd be as a society. One of my favorite, and I mean that very ironically, one of my favorite bumper stickers that I saw this year, especially, it was a twump, a twump
Twump.
2020.
I'm gonna vote for Twump.
Twump. It was a Trump.
That's
That's what
about
happens when
fucking
you try to
right.
say Trump in 2020 at the same time. It was all it said was "fuck your feelings," Trump 2020, right? And they had that thing out on the lake that didn't go so well, and that was their big thing: "fuck your feelings." What's funny now that after he's lost, that's all I'm hearing. That's all I'm seeing is fucking feelings, right? Um, One of my favorite memes is of it's the scene in the movie with Tom Hanks and the pirates come on the ship and the guy says, "Look at me, I'm the captain now," and it's the same guy, but he's got a Trump hat on, and he says, "Look at me, I'm the snowflake now," and I fucking love that because it is so goddamned accurate. These same fucking people that said, "Fuck you, snowflakes," and "fuck your feelings," and all that are now doing exactly what they claimed to hate 6 months ago, a year ago. They're crying and whining about losing, but cannot prove any of their accusations. I saw something the other day, and I don't know, it was on Reddit, so 50-50 that it's fucking real, but it was a picture of somebody's yard, and it was just littered with Trump 2020 signs. And one of them said that God has bowed down to Donald J. Trump, stating that he is perfect, Trump 2020. Now, I don't know if this is real. I hope to fucking Christ that it's not, because holy shit. But it's that cult of personality, and it also shows that there are some very weak minded, weak willed human beings out there that will just swallow another human being's bullshit like a human centipede. Um, and I've just never been that guy. I mean, there are people that I agree with, people I disagree with, but at the end of the day, that's like when celebrities or professionals they get busted. Who was it? Tiger Woods. And everyone's, oh my god, he cheated on his wife. Okay, he was a goddamn golf player, and he's a human being.
Let's back the train up a little bit. You went full human centipede,
Yeah,
and we're just gonna just run past that.
We're just gonna pretend that never happened.
We're just gonna pretend that didn't happen, Dan. Human centipede.
It's gonna be like an and in a sentence. We just fucking rolled on past it.
That's gonna be the next meme I do. It's gonna say Trump 2020 or Biden cheated, and then it's gonna be just a picture of the scene from that movie of fucking human centipede. Like, because y'all are just digesting. For those of you who don't know,
God.
Human Centipede, and I think they've made like 5 of them at this point.
It wasn't. Everyone was like, "You need to. This is gonna be the fucking grossest movie, the scariest movie you've ever seen in your life." I watched it, and it wasn't.
It's dumb. It's a dumb movie,
dumb.
Is what it is.
It's like Sharknado, but
yeah, it's just they went for gross factor. Most scary movies, and I use quotes for that. Most scary movies now are just gore. It's just going after that part of the brain that doesn't like seeing that shit, but you're still strangely fascinated. So I gave up social media about a week ago, Christmas. Some things happened and made me realize that it's all about dopamine. It's a waste, right? If you're on social media, I want you to really ask yourself why you're on it and what you truly get out of it, but not the point. But not being on social media has left me more time to delve into some of the creepier subreddits that are on Reddit and talk about like gore. And I found one that was all about fighting. Is Reddit social media? Go ahead. That's where you're going with that. Yes,
Yeah,
and
it is.
it is, but I don't interact. I don't pump anything out. I'm consuming it. And it is social media. But when I say social media, I'm referring more to the,
Ones that you deleted. Yeah.
well, Twitter. I mean, if you think about it, every news site is social media, isn't it? Someone posted an article, someone posted information, and I'm reading it. Therefore, it's social.
Yeah, you got to basically not look at anything.
Sure, to be completely anti social media, you'd have to you just take the social off of it and just
But
be
Reddit
anti
does have
media.
that two-way like communication.
It
It is
does.
social, but most people I know do just lurk.
It's right. It's just
But
I read because it actually has some really great fucking subreddits and a lot of really great information can be found. But again, what I like about Reddit is that other than some of the oddball subreddits, most of it is fact checked pretty well by the comments. Like you get in the comments and people will be like, "Hey, wait, that's bullshit. Here's an article that says otherwise." And that's kind of what I like about it. Now, I found shit like one called anti oh
natalism.
natalism, thank you, anti-natalism, that's all about people who don't think we should procreate and have babies. Now, I agree with that. I agree that having children is honestly kind of selfish. I don't see the point in it. I think you're bringing human beings into a world and
Wait. You found China's official subreddit?
hey, if there's one thing they got right, the whole you have to have a certificate to have a baby might be the fucking best one.
I like
Um,
it.
but like a lot of things like that, they go way too far. Like they start shaming people for having children, and there's a problem. There's this thing with gatekeeping, and before I had even ever heard of the term gatekeeping, I didn't like it. It's a millennial term. Um, if you don't want to have kids, don't have kids. If you don't want to own guns, don't own guns. If you don't want to be a guy who sucks cock, don't be gay. I don't care. But don't try to tell other people how to live their lives if they're not hurting you. Um, and yeah, I know you could sit and fucking all of those groups could sit and argue how that hurts them. It takes away the what is it the fabric of America. Fuck off with that. The fabric of America is made up of a lot of different fucking materials. That's why it's been able to succeed kind of outside the formula of other countries, right?
That's what I always kind of found funny about the whole gay marriage argument, because it's like letting letting gay people get married didn't make anyone else less married. It had nothing to do with you.
Oh, but it takes away the sanctity of marriage. You want to talk about sanctity of marriage? Let's go after the motherfuckers who sell engagement rings for $2,000 and $3,000. Let's go over the assholes that convince women that they have to have these dresses and these expensive.
There's no sanctity to it. Everyone does it for the tax break.
Dude, that's brother. There's a lot of truth to that. I mean, you live with somebody
The thing
for a
is,
while, and
they
it's
made
taxes and insurance and things like that, right?
yeah. I mean, they made marriage more than a religious thing, so you can't really argue that hey, it ain't Christian to do that because you get married for other reasons than Christianity.
Absolutely, people do, and you can argue some are good, some are bad. Look, I've been divorced twice, so obviously I'm not somebody to sit and discuss, why someone should or should not get married. But being gay is not a reason to keep somebody from being married, right? Um, the divorce rate in this country is still like 50%. Um, and I know a lot of long-term gay couples. Well, not a lot. I know a couple. Um, but I can say that I know more long-term gay couples than I do long-term heterosexual couples. In the grand scheme of things, just about everybody I know has been divorced at least once. Um, you know, uh, it's it's about taxes. It's about insurance. I do believe that if two men have been together and they get married, I do think that if one has better insurance, they should be able to share it just like a man and a woman. Um, marriage wasn't even about even religion, it was about, if you go back millennia, it was about power and control and about,
That was
this,
about merging kingdoms more than
right, power and
anything.
control. It was, this man was going to have this woman. They were going to have their kids get married, because then that would make these two, kingdoms one big kingdom. It was politics. It was about a fucking couple of goats and some gold. So get the fuck out of here with this, the sanctity of marriage, because blah. But again, I am not the guy to sit and tell anybody about good marriages, because every I made a comment. So one of the things that kind of drove me off of social media was that I noticed that it really is about dopamine and about the likes, and trying to get, I like to talk, I like to conversate, I like to, again, critical think. That's why we do this podcast, right? Is we like to bring things up, and if people want to discuss it or argue with us or whatever, that's great. But it seemed like whenever I tried to do that on social media, I got crickets. And I was trying to discuss love languages, which love languages, a guy by the name of Gary Chapman, um, several degrees in like religious studies, and some anthropology degrees and things like that. He came up with the 5 love languages, and basically it's the 5 ways that we interact with loved ones and people we care about, and what's more valuable to us. And for me, I scored really high on basically like time and attention. You can buy me gifts and that's cool, but it's like, whatever. Um, uh, Affirmative words, meaning, saying things like, I love you, you're beautiful, you're a great person. That's kind of cool too. For me, it's time and energy. And Doug will tell you that I value that way more than a lot of other things. For you to say, hey man, I swung by and picked up this thing for you. I know you'd been wanting one, or you've been meaning to do this, and I did that for you. You just sacrificed some of your time and energy for me. And time and energy is something you don't ever get back, right? I mean, gifts are cool, but if you've got a lot of money and you're buying people gifts, I don't mean to sound like an ungrateful dick, but okay, cool. It also depends on the gift. Like, I've bought Doug stupid ass little things because it just made me laugh. And I thought, Doug, I have a shirt actually that Doug bought me that, that I will never
God.
wear, but I will keep
love
forever. And I am going to wear at his funeral. And it wasn't about the buying the overpriced shirt at a vendor in Florida. It wasn't about that. It wasn't about the money he spent. It was about the gag. It was about the joke. It was about the personality and the silliness of it, right? And that I'll take a picture of it and I'll post it. I'm still running the Bullshirt podcast Facebook page. I'll post it on there. That's we'll get maybe we'll get some clicks for that. But it was about the sentimentality of it, right, which is important to me. But so I'm trying to discuss that, and nobody, either they're making jokes about it or just don't, just crickets. But then I could put up some dumb meme, or I could put up a picture of my cat, and it's just like, oh, love you, likes, whatever. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Well, it's, for me, being the age that I am. I'm 46. Dan, you're what? 44?
45.
45?
Yeah, I'll be 46 in
26.
September. Fuck off.
26.
All right. So for me, I'm going to bring what this social media thing is for me home. High school was rough. It's like I wasn't necessarily the outcast, but I had a core group of friends and the whole nine, and you've always got that high school rumor mill. Everybody's in everybody else's business, and I imagine that's somewhat amplified today. And at my age, after I got out of high school, there was this relief of being able to leave all the high school bullshit behind.
Yep.
And for me, when I got back into social media, at first it was a place for me just to share my funny side.
Yep.
Here's some stuff. You can giggle at this, and let's all go and have a nice day. And the further I went down that rabbit hole, I realized I was doing things to feed the social media beast. I
Dance
needed
monkey.
approval from the social media beast. I
Yep.
needed those likes. I needed whatever.
Yep.
And then when I left that behind, I'm several years into no social media now. It's
Yeah.
like the one that I used was Facebook, and the one that I had for just newsworthy shit was Twitter. I hardly ever tweet on Twitter, but it's like occasionally you want to see what crazy shit somebody said.
Yeah.
So for me, that's not necessarily that engaging social media. That's something I can go out and check on, much like
Right.
Dan's doing with Reddit.
Yeah.
But after I got off that social media train, my fucking self esteem went up. It's like
That's yeah.
I wasn't worried about what everybody else was thinking. I wasn't worried about, what somebody thought of the fucking sandwich that I ate at lunch, or,
Yep.
the motorcycle ride that I took, or the
Yep.
video game that I played, or the walk that I took with my dog, or we went to a park or whatever. There was not that lens of what is everyone else going to think about this, and it was really freeing. And for anyone that's on social media, that's engaged, that you're having problems with your own happiness, and
Yes,
you
sir.
feel like so much stuff is just for show,
Yes,
I
sir.
would encourage you, because the number one place to get rid of it is on your phone, because you're carrying
Yes,
that
sir.
fucker with you all day long.
Walk
Uh,
away.
yeah, I would just encourage you, delete it off of your fucking phone and give yourself a 30-day social media break and see
Mm-hmm.
how you feel at
Mm-hmm.
the end of that. And if the answer is you feel better about yourself, just leave that shit gone.
I know that's where I started. Once I realized that, kind of like Doug, that I was, it was for the likes more than anything, because I wasn't able to get any real conversation started on anything when I tried. Again, I like conversation, and I want to, I enjoyed learning how other people think. But Facebook and Instagram wasn't doing that. It was, I started with my phone. I deleted off my phone, and I told Adam, I was like, God damn it. I was like, I keep picking up my phone and then realizing that I have nothing else to do with it. It's not a cell phone. It's a fucking social media device. I think that's why they've become so popular in the, we're like, oh, I need the 8 gajillion fucking megapixel camera. Um, it's so that we can share it on a site that compresses it down to, bits. Um, and I'm like, Doug, I found myself over the last week, I found myself instinctively, like a habit, like chewing your nails or smoking, reaching for my phone to take a picture of something to share it on social media, and going, why? No one fucking cares, dude. All they care is about their own likes and their own, nobody, very few people, because I followed people and interacted because I cared about them. And I'm learning that these same people didn't give a fuck about me, right? It's been a week and I haven't heard from anybody. And I was a multi post a day poster. I was, 8, 9 posts a day. I go silent and not a single fucking person has reached out to say, hey, are you dead?
They
Because
don't
most people
care.
wouldn't
Like
know.
nobody gives a fuck what anyone else is doing
Nope.
all the
You were
time.
just
Nope.
dancing for the organ grinder, dude,
Yeah.
and they
And there's
saw the
other people
dancing
on their
monkey,
feed
and that's
posting.
what they appreciated.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's what they want. They, like you said, the dance monkey dance. I'm very much with Doug. I think, and I know Adam is in the same boat. He gave up social media, except for like some of I know your music. You still kind of push that on
Yeah, I
Instagram
got
and
my
stuff a little bit.
Instagram and Twitter, my music page, but I don't. It's just post and then go away. Like I don't really scroll through a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, because I mean, again, if you're going to have any kind of online, I mean, like we do the podcast. So, of course, I do keep my Facebook open only because I manage a page. And let's face it, nowadays, if you have a business or a product or content of any type, you got to have a social media presence. You simply just have to. And so I keep it for that. But I have, as the week has gone by, much to Doug's point, I feel a little better and I can't explain why. Like, I just don't feel the need to share everything to get those likes. And it goes back to dopamine. I was telling Adam, you know, separating and divorcing right before a pandemic has been a bit of a pain in the ass for dating, as you can imagine. And I like to date. Dating is fun for me. I really enjoy dating. And after my first divorce, I moved to Columbus, Ohio, out of the Northeast Ohio, and farm town. Moved down to Columbus, and we lived like a block away from the campus, OSU campus. Dude, it was a fucking riot. I loved it. Literally, there actually was a riot one year, but had a lot of fun. But online dating was just starting to gear up, right? And it was a lot. Yahoo Personals was a big one for me. I went out on a ton of dates. Had a lot of fun. Got catfished before catfishing was a fucking thing. Met this cute little blonde and we really hit it off. And then I go to pick her up for a date. And she's like, well, actually, I've been setting you up with my sister. And her sister was cute too. But I was like, I just stared. And Doug and Adam know me. I can be a bit of a brash asshole from times. I stared and I went, nah. And I got in my car and I drove off because it was like, yeah, this is not how we're going to fucking
But did
do
you
things.
guys post about each other on your GeoCities?
On our GeoCities. I think MySpace might have been around then. I think it was, yeah. GeoCities, fuck yeah. So, but the thing about it was, and to get back to my point about dopamine, is that the point is that when you signed up for a site, you were just on the site, right? I met my second ex-wife on Match.com, right? But when you signed up, you were on the site and you met people, and that was that. It was a lot like, and I got to explain to Adam what video dating was. He didn't know what this was, and that was great for me, right? So video dating, and there were some great YouTube videos of some really. They went in and handpicked just the best fucking ones, right? But video dating was you went to a studio, this place, and I went when I was in my late teens, early 20s. And it was prohibitively expensive for me at that age. But I have to admit, they were actually very nice to me, even though they were like, this guy. They were actually very nice to me. But you would sit in a little studio on a chair and you would tell about yourself, and they would ask you questions and you'd answer, and like what kind of woman you were looking for. And then like once a week or a month or whatever, you would go pick up a videotape and you would watch it, and it would just be like, Doug, and it would have a number.
Videotape.
Yeah. And he would talk, and then, Adam and everybody, and you would go through like 8 or 9 people that they had chosen for you and watch them. And if you had interest, you'd write it down and give it to them. And they, if they, basically it was, social dating, but done analog, right?
Lo-fi.
Lo-fi dating. So when I first signed up for dating apps back in the day, it was very similar to that. It just opened up and you met people. So fast forward 15 years, and I thought, well, I met my second wife on Match. We were together 15 years. I have no real regrets. I mean, I don't hate her, and I don't hate the time we spent together. Fuck it, I give that a shot. I was a big proponent of online dating. At the time, I think the algorithms and the ability to match based on things that are important, I thought it was neat. Well, I get back on it now, and it's different. It has changed. First of all, it's completely tiered, right? You get on and you've got free, but free is just sort of like, getting edged by a prostitute, right? She's not going to make you come. She's just going to tease you. And you get to see people, but if you match, you don't know it. If they like you, they say, hey, somebody liked you. And you tap on it and it's just a blurred out
Thank you for
image.
Subscribing to our blue ball plan.
Fuck yeah. I like that. The blue ball plan, the standard blue ball plan. So then each tier, you get a little bit more, all the way to where you can, like, if somebody swipes on you, it. You don't have to, because the whole point of like Tinder was, if you swipe on them and they swipe on you, you're matched. Well, now if you pay enough, you can see if they swiped on you. And if you want to swipe on them, you don't have to leave anything to chance. There was a guy on YouTube I watched, him and a couple other guys. I won't say they proved, but they showed some very compelling evidence that all of these dating sites change the algorithm. Like when you first sign up, they boost you and put you in front of a lot of faces. Anytime you change something, if you've been gone for a while, they'll put you in front of more faces. Of course, none of the dating apps were willing to admit that they did that. On top of that, you can boost your profile for $5.99, right? You can, what are the other ones? It's all about draining you dry money wise, right? $2 here, $3 there, $60 for the membership, whatever. And we're going to get you in front of more people, How about you just open up the fucking algorithm, let me sign up. And if somebody likes me, and if you think about that, right, you talking about social media and self-esteem, you set your thing out to 50 miles, you set your profile up, you put some good pictures up there, whatever. And over a couple of months' time, not one single fucking person swipes on you or likes you. And you're like, wow, there's nobody within a 50-mile fucking radius that thinks I'm attractive in any way, shape, or form.
If you give us $5, people around you will think you're attractive.
Will think you're attractive. Exactly. I boost, and now all of a sudden I get a couple of hits. And I'm like, oh, fuck, dude, that is the epitome of dopamine, paying for dopamine hits. It's fucked up. So I have sworn off the fucking dating apps. I won't do them anymore because I feel like they have changed their model to the point that it's not healthy anymore. It's about the dopamine hits, man. So social media, social media. Sorry, we have a chat that we talk in, and these guys like to we like to harass each other when somebody's on a kick. But yeah, I just it's changed so much, and it's a shame because I think you're going after what is probably an emotionally vulnerable group of people, especially right now when, like I said, I can't even date. I can't go to a bar or a restaurant, meet people. I can't take the bike out. I used to take the bike out, hit the mountains, and then hit some little bar on the way home, have a beer and a sandwich. And I met a lot of really neat people back when I was married. That didn't do me any good. So yeah, jumping into a fucking pandemic, recently divorced, it's got a whole kind of strange, unique vibe to it.
Well, I would also say that businesses separating horny people from their money has been a business model as long as there's been business and horny people.
Touche. I cannot argue with that. A hard dick and his money are easily separated. January 1st, 2021. Let's just see where we go.
Hell, I say, guys, let's end it here.
That was kind of my point.
No. Hang on.
Come on, Adam.
Are we going to do awkward silence?
All right, guys. See you again on the next episode. Thanks for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe and ding the bell for notifications.
Be sure to smash that like button.
Smash that motherfucking like button. Turn it up and rip the fucking knob off.
I hate us. I really do. I hate us.